part 2 of an episode that I did with the great drummer Nate Morton, who's on the hit NBC TV show The Voice. In this episode, we'll dig deeper into the conversation once he's moved out to LA and learn about all the auditions that he went on, all the opportunities that he had, and finally landing this amazing gig on The Voice. I hope you learned some tidbits of information that Nate so graciously shared with us about his experiences coming up through Berkeley, all the way to moving to Los Angeles, and everything that he did for all of these various auditions that have now made him one of the top drummers in the world. You know, in some of the process, like with the Billy Myers gig, right? With that 2-day audition series that happened.
Yep.
Were you given music ahead of time, or did you have to go in and just wing it?
Oh God, no. If you're going to do an audition, typically, back in that era, they would say, go to her manager's office and pick up this CD, and the CD would have 3 songs on it, and they would generally be listed in the order that they were going to be released as singles. Here's the first single, second, third, and in the case of Billy Myers, I feel like her single was already out. It was a song called Kiss the Rain. Kenny Aronoff, I think, played drums on the original recording.
Okay.
And that dude. Yeah. That up and coming guy.
Wow. Right.
He's got a lot of potential. I think if he sticks with it, he's really going to go far. I hope people get my stupid sense of humor.
They totally.
I hope they're just not like, oh my God, he said he thinks Kenny Aronoff is up and coming. Oh my God, he's an idiot, that guy. No. So yes, Kenny, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Just joking. So I pick up, you pick up the CD, and this is 20 years before, almost 20 years before I have to start. No. I take that back. I'm sorry. That would have been let's call it 99, 2000 or area.
Yep.
And then it wasn't until 2005, 6 or so when Rockstar came along, which is this TV show that I did, where we started having to learn these like kind of high volumes of songs, right? Where it's like, oh, there's 15 songs this week to learn, which in retrospect doesn't seem like a lot, because there are times on The Voice when it's like, okay, here's the 36 songs we're learning this week.
God, it's amazing.
But at that time, to have to come in and in a week learn 14 songs or 12 songs, it was like, I mean, if you do a tour, you might be rehearsing, let's just say, 6 days a week, 7 or 8 hours a day. And you, depending on the tour you're doing and the level you're doing, I mean, you might be learning 2 songs a day. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might be learning 2 songs a day because the keyboard players are dialing sounds and this and that. I did one tour where it was actually literally that. It was literally out of a 10-hour day, the keyboard players and guitar players were dialing sounds for 7.5 or 8 hours of that, getting the sound right for what the track was. So the idea that you would come in and in the space of a week from Monday to Saturday, really? Monday to Sunday? It's like Monday and Tuesday, you got to learn 14 songs because you're seeing the contestants on Wednesday and Thursday.
That's crazy.
I mean, at that, like I said, now, I mean, I could, this sounds so terrible, but I mean, I could do that and read a book and crochet a sweater at the same time. but then the idea of 14 songs in 2 days was like, whoa.
Right.
So anyway.
And this was the Rockstar time frame that you're talking about?
Correct. This was the beginning of Rockstar. Beginning of Rockstar.
Okay.
So.
And how did you get that? Like, so these things, like, I know these things don't seem trivial to you because Nate Morton walks in the room and like every drummer runs to the corner like a bunch of.
Are you out of your mind?
So don't belittle the fact that you had to go do something to get these gigs. That it's important. It's
Joe. Okay, why don't you ask me
Okay, so you were with Billy Myers, and then
ask me the big question, which is because this is the big question that'll bring it on home. Ask me the big question, which is, how did you get the gig on The Voice?
no, because there's so many other things in between.
No.
Oh, I thought there was.
No. Just try it.
Really? Okay. So Nate, how did you get the audition on The Voice?
No. The gig.
Oh, the gig.
Try again, Joe.
Okay.
Nate, how did you get the gig on The Voice?
Nate, how did you get the gig on The Voice?
Funny you should ask.
Oh my gosh.
So back in get comfortable, people. Back somewhere around 2002. I always want to do like in the year 2000.
Right.
If anyone remembers that. I don't know if anyone remembers that little Conan O'Brien bit that he used to do with Andy Richter. So back somewhere around 2002, I was playing with a singer-songwriter, piano player named Billy Myers. That was a little earlier. Named Vanessa Carlton. So 2002, 2003, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe 2003. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Vanessa Carlton, she had a single called 1,000 Miles. It was a really big summertime single. So I'm touring with Vanessa, and we're somewhere in the middle of somewhere, and I get a call.
But there you go again. You skipped over. How did you get that gig?
Well, I actually didn't skip over, Joe, because I said Nate's a jerk, because I said that many of my earlier auditions, of which Vanessa Carlton was one, came through Barry Squire. I actually probably admitted that. But yeah, so okay. Then I'll give you the quick overview of the Barry Squire gig. So of the gigs that I did, or of the auditions that I did when I first moved to town, that I found myself in a room in some way, shape, form, or fashion as a result of knowing Barry Squire.
Yep.
The first one was Billy Myers. The next one, I think, was Tommy Henriksen, who is a guitar player, bass player, singer, songwriter, rocker of all levels. He's currently playing guitar with Alice Cooper, right?
Okay.
But at the time, he had a deal on Capitol. Yeah, Capitol. He had a deal on Capitol Records. So Billy Myers, Tommy Henriksen, Darren Hayes, who was I think he was the lead singer of Savage Garden. And so for a minute there, Darren Hayes had a solo project.
Okay.
Darren Hayes. And so I did an audition that I was fortunate to get through that. I was unable to do it because of a conflict with another Barry Squire audition that I did, which was Vanessa Carlton. So Darren Hayes and Vanessa Carlton conflicted. So I found myself having to choose between the two, or fortunate to have the, good problem of choosing between the two. And I elected to play with Vanessa Carlton.
Right.
And then also in there was he's badass, a techno dance artist, EDM artist, if you will, called Brian Transo, or BT is his name. Okay. So those handful of auditions all came through the Barry Squire stream. So
perfect.
Barry Squire.
I feel so much better now.
There you go. Barry Squire's stream led to Vanessa Carlton. So boom, now I'm on tour with Vanessa.
Perfect.
Phone rings. This might have been a Barry call as well, but it was, "Hey Nate, there's a certain big artist who's auditioning, and she is looking to put the band on retainer. And the auditions are this day. She's heard a lot of players. They haven't settled the band yet, and we would like you to come to the audition." And I won't say the artist's name, but her initials are Alanis Morissette. So
oh my god! So that was true Nate Morton form right there. It was perfect.
Thank you.
God, I'm so glad.
So I'm out with Vanessa, and I get this call that Alanis is auditioning, and I know that Vanessa's tour is winding down, and so I'm very excited. I'm like, oh man, this could be a great transition. So in the middle of the Vanessa gig, I fly home. All of this, by the way, I'm still answering the question, how did you get to get on The Voice? If you can believe it. So it works out that the day she's auditioning, it falls on like a day off that I've got with Vanessa. And so it's a day off with Vanessa. I don't remember where we are, but I race to the airport in the morning. I fly home. I'm listening to Alana's songs on the way home, the songs that she's going to ask for. And I'm charting out my little charts and thing. And I get there and I go to the audition and it was amazing. And I played. I was like, yeah, this sounds great. You guys were rocking. Woo! And at the end of the audition, they go, man, that was great. You didn't get the gig. And I went, oh, my heart broke. I was so sad. Right. So I did not get the gig. They said, thank you for joining us. You did a good job, but we're going to, we have another guy. Okay. I get back on a plane the next day. I fly back. I rejoin Vanessa, which is a great gig. No disrespect to Vanessa.
Anybody know where you went in that period of time?
Sure. Probably.
The band?
Or actually, you know what? Do you know what the truth is? I'll be honest with you. I don't even remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I mightn't have said. Maybe it would be not kosher to be like, hey, I'm going home to audition for a gig that's, bigger than this one. And so maybe I wouldn't have said it. Maybe I would have had a little bit more subtle approach. But nonetheless, I didn't get it anyway. So I arrive back and then I finish out the Vanessa tour. And I'm a little bit bummed that I missed out on that great opportunity because #Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
Come on. Right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Shoot. So if she called me today, I'd be like, I don't know. Can I fit it between my voice schedule? What is it? You know what I mean? She's amazing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so the Vanessa tour finishes, and not too long after the Vanessa tour finishes, and I feel like this is the end of 2004. I get a call from a friend, and he says, "Hey, Nate, Mark Burnett is putting together this TV show. It's called Rockstar. He needs a band." And so he has called upon however many MDs, 8, 10, 12 MDs, to put together bands to come and audition to potentially be the house band on this show. It's going to be like American Idol, but it's going to have like rock, and we're going to run the rock songs. It's going to be great. And so I go, okay, man, of course, I would love to. And so the person who called me for that audition was a bass player named Derek Frank, who has a very, very long list of credits to his name. So Derek put together the band as the band leader, and we went and auditioned. So now we're in early 2005, because if memory serves, the first round of auditions for Rockstar were in the first or second week of the year. That was like January 5th or something, right? Was the audition. We audition again. Multiple bands audition again. The whole process is going on and on and on. And eventually they wind up saying, okay, I get a call from Clyde Lieberman, who is, he's still in my life. At that time, I get a call from Clyde Lieberman, and he says, okay, Nate, we've narrowed it down. We have 3 drummers that we're looking at, and you're one of the 3. And here's the next day. Can you be here on this day at this time? Okay, sure. Of course I can. So I go there, and now we're in like late January, because the process started like early January. Now we're moving into like mid-late January.
Wow, that's incredible.
So, no, man, I haven't even started. I'm just getting warmed up. So I go there, and the other drummers are playing, and the rotating drummers in and out. And the way that I've done several auditions, and they all work a variety of ways. But generally, if none of the band is set, then some portion of the audition, the live audition, is that drummer with that bass player with that guitar player with that drummer with that bass player and that guitar player. And they're, especially in this sense, because it's a television show, they're analyzing it all. So they're well above like, do these guys sound good? They're like, do I like that guy's dreadlocks? In my case, for example.
Right.
That guy has a guitar that's like Dayglow pink. That's cool. Ooh, I hate that guy's boots. Like, it's on that level because it's a TV show, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, we're playing. Okay, let's say I'm drummer number 3. So we're playing. At some point they say, okay, drummer number 1, you can go home. And then I look around, and there's just like drummer number 2 and me playing. And at some point they say, okay, drummer number 2, Thank you a lot. You can go home. And then it's just me. And I'm playing for like the rest of the day and well into the night. So finally they say, okay, we're finished for the night. Everybody can go home. Now, when they did that on Billy Myers, it was, this is the band. We're playing Vibe tomorrow. Let's get her done.
Right.
As opposed to on this, where they're like, all right, thanks.
Go home and worry. Now go home and worry.
Now go home, right? So I go up to Clyde Lieberman. Love him. I go up to Clyde and I go, say, hey, Clyde, as I look around, I don't see any other drummers. I said, so can I said, so should I go home and, have a celebratory drink? And Clyde's response was, well, you should definitely go home and have a drink.
Oh no.
Right.
Oh no.
So now we're at the end of January. The band that they arrived at, sort of, somewhere in February, they had this band, right? And I was included within that band, and they had an MD, a guitar player, bass player, and a multi-instrumentalist. And so then that band did a gig for that was a CBS show. So we would have done a gig for like the higher up CBS guys, right?
Yeah.
We would have had to have been approved by them. Then at some point they kind of went like, well, what if we had this person on bass? So then that band did another gig for the CBS people. Then, well, what if we had this person on guitar? Then that band did another gig for the CBS people. Then it was like, well, this isn't working out. Let's go back to the other band. Okay, now then that band did a gig. So there were hoops aplenty to jump through. But in the end of all the jumping through hoops, and I remember this date. I don't know why, it's just burned in my head. And I could have it wrong, but I remember this date. I feel like it was May 19th. We were all sat in a room with the executive producer of that show, Rockstar. His name is David Goffin.
Yeah.
And that band was myself on drums, Sasha Krivtsov on bass,
yeah,
Hafa Moriera on guitar, Jim McGorman on guitar and multi-instrumentalist, and musical director Paul Merkovich. So that was the first time Paul, Sasha, and myself worked together as a rhythm section. Now, Sasha was my bass player on Vanessa Carlton. And Paul had also worked with Sasha in other situations. But this is the first time that this was the genesis of that rhythm section. So from Rockstar, that rhythm section went on to do multiple sessions in town, 2 seasons of Rockstar. That band went on to do a tour with Paul Stanley. Ultimately, that rhythm section wound up doing the Cher Caesar's Palace run. So now I flashed all the way forward from 2005, right? By the way, so the first part of that audition was in early January, and the band wasn't solidified until
May 19th.
End of May. Well, May 19th was when they said, if you want to do it.
Got it.
And then ultimately, by the time contracts were signed, it was the end of May. It was the end of May, beginning of June, somewhere in there.
So all of this time, you're not making any money?
No, the auditions that we did and the rehearsals that we did were paid.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, you are a professional musician. So even whether you have the gig or not, it is still your time, and it is, I mean, we weren't on some sort of, incredible retainer or anything, but at the same time, the powers that be know that to expect you to dedicate the time to learning these songs and doing these rehearsals and showing up and, wearing halfway presentable clothes and showing up with good gear and playing a gig and sounding good, that's not something that people would typically want to do for free. That's something that's what we do. And so they wouldn't have expected us to do that for free.
So any point during this interview process from early January to this May date where it finally gets solidified, did any other tour opportunities come up that almost tore you away to go and say, okay, this great thing has just come in, and if I get this, I'm out of here. I'm done with these auditions. I'm going.
So Joe, When you called me and you were like, "Hey, man, can you come on my podcast and chat to me?" And blah, 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 blah. I was like, "Sure, sure." And then you were just like, "Yeah, we're gonna talk about your life story." And
Right.
I was kind of like, "Uh-oh, this is gonna be like everything I've always been asked before, and it's gonna be all the same stuff. I hope Joe comes with a new question. Like, I hope so." That's the first time anyone has ever asked me that question.
Seriously?
And yes, that's the first time I've ever been asked that question, and that is an interesting question, and it is very insightful.
Oh, well,
So,
I'm looking,
absolutely.
I'm looking through all of this because I lived through you, you know that, right? So
Stop that.
I'm, all of these questions are like, man, if I was in the middle of all this and all of a sudden, I get the call from Barry saying Cher's auditioning. So anyhow, that's why it was important.
And like I said, it's a good question, and it's a very astute question. And the answer is yes. I mean, because it was from early part of the year to like May, April, in that neighborhood.
And they're building up their tour
that's
bands.
when things are happening, right?
Right.
That's when things are happening. I can't remember specific things that I would have, turned down or that I would have not been available for. But I will say that even in that context of it not being solidified, I felt like it was definitely worth keeping my carts hooked to that ox.
Okay.
Because it was a TV show.
Sure.
And all the time that I was touring, I was definitely like, touring is great. Touring is a blast. I love it. I may wind up doing it again at some point. That would be amazing. It would be fun. But there's also an extent to where it's like, it might also be nice to be able to make a living staying in town and seeing your family every day and sleeping in your own bed and driving your car and going to your favorite restaurants and not dealing with the fact that you showed up at, 10 and the rooms won't be ready until 2. So you're sleeping on a couch in the hotel lobby.
Right.
That's also an element of touring. So yes, so things came and went, and I definitely decided to stay the course and, follow that path towards what I thought would be a TV show, which wound up being a TV show. And where was I? Sorry, Baba.
So no, it's okay. So Rockstar, you guys, you did a bunch of shows.
Yep. Right, exactly.
You're the new hot rhythm section in town, right?
We're the new rhythm section in town.
Okay.
I don't know how hot we were at that time, but yeah, and so the only point that I was really trying to make in this very, 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 very long-winded, spool here is the fact that I'm able to be on The Voice now is a direct result of the relationship that I started with Paul Merkovich back in 2005 on Rockstar. So what is this, 2020?
Yeah.
Right? So this whole gig started coming about a decade and a half ago.
Right.
And so I say all that. I say that to even spin it further back to talk about what I was saying earlier about relationships, which is that you have no idea, the guy that you do a gig with one time for $100 at a club somewhere might be the guy who calls you for the audition that completely changes the course of your career.
Right.
So,
So Rockstar was till when?
Rockstar, unfortunately, only lasted 2 seasons. Rockstar was 2005, 2006 on CBS. The first season, it was Rockstar INXS, and the feature band was INXS, and we were going through the process to find a lead singer to replace Michael Hutchins. And then the subsequent season was called Rockstar Supernova, and they had chosen Tommy Lee. Oh, this is embarrassing. Tommy Lee, Jason Newsted, and a guitar player.
Oh, it's awesome.
But they were putting together this super group. And so they were basically auditioning for a singer to front this super group. And that was what that season was about.
Okay.
And so then, yeah, like I said, that season ended. And then Paul Stanley called, like the Paul Stanley.
Yep.
Like the walking breathing, living, iconic legend, Paul Stanley,
Yeah.
calls and says, "Hey guys, I'm going to go out and support my solo record. Do you want to play with me?" And it's like, well, duh.
Right.
You know? I mean, Paul is amazing. Paul and Cher. Paul Stanley and Cher.
Yeah.
Cher. She's just Cher. I don't know what that's. But Paul Stanley and Cher both have this. They are at once incredibly sort of present and know exactly who they are, and the fact that they are literally iconic legends, but at the same time able to make fun of themselves, able to laugh at themselves, able to be down to earth, able to be just so, what's the word I'm looking for? Relatable. Authentic, relatable in a crazy way. You know what I mean? I'll never forget. I told Paul Stanley, I said, yeah, man, I was in this band, however long ago or whatever. And he goes, man, I got shoes older than that. Oh, okay, cool. I love it too. Paul Stanley, I'll tell you this too. One time, so it's the rock band. It's the story. Sorry, because that was such a funny time then. So it's the band from Rockstar and Paul Stanley. And I said to Paul Stanley, I said, man, the band from Rockstar and Paul Stanley. I said, this is the best band I've ever played with. And Paul Stanley looks at me and goes, yeah, I'm sure this is the best band you've ever played with.
Nice. Oh my gosh.
No,
that's awesome.
He was so great, man. He was so great. And it's like, and the cool thing too is we did a show a while back. And one of the songs that we played in the season finale, after the season finale is over and the show is over, I hop in my car to drive home and I have a text from Paul Stanley telling me, "Oh my God, man, great job on, such and such a song tonight."
That's so cool.
It's amazing.
That's so cool.
He is genuinely one of those guys who, I don't know, he's able to balance being an icon and still being sort of down to earth, and
that's really cool,
relatable, and yeah.
So what year is this that you go out with him right after Rockstar ends? Well,
Rockstar would have been 05, 06. Well, 05 was one season. 06 was another season. And so I feel like we did, it would have been 06. It would have been 06, maybe into 07. But maybe because Rockstar was a summer show. So we might have done Rockstar and been done at the end of the summer. And then we might have spent like the fall/winter with Paul Stanley.
Okay.
And been done. Because the second leg of the Paul Stanley tour was Australia. And so Australia, if you don't know, or if anyone doesn't know, is backwards to us. Mm-hmm. So Australia winter is our summer. So it's 100 degrees in the winter. So I feel like it was that. I feel like it was like the fall here. I feel like it was 2006 rehearsals, maybe in the fall, tour here in the fall. And then I feel like that tour would have gone into like maybe like October, November in Australia. Something of that nature.
And at this point, is this the biggest tour that you've done up to date? Up to that? Yeah.
He is definitely the most iconic artist that I would have worked with up to that point.
Up to that point. Okay.
Well, okay. Whoa. No, because I try not to like.
You've done so many great things. We can't leave anything out.
No, I'm okay. What exactly?
That's why I'm prodding you for all of this stuff. This is my job.
I'm just fortunate. I'm fortunate that I've managed to eke out a living doing this thing. And I'm fortunate that like people call me to do, what I do. I feel like.
And you're about the most humble person I've ever met in my life. That's the reason.
Nice. That's nice of you to say. Thank you.
It's true.
But it's true. But you know what it is? So look, when I was in high school, I wasn't walking around like, yeah, one day I'm going to play with Paul Stanley and Shaka Khan and, I'm going to be on TV. I didn't think that. I thought like.
That was like your Richard Pryor. That was like your. You sound like Richard Pryor there.
I'm so not going to try to do Richard Pryor.
It was great. My gosh.
I guess, but my point is that every day I am of two people. I am the person who gets up and goes like, okay, today it's time to get up and learn the Peter Frampton song that we're playing on the show today. Like, what? Like the first, you're right. So part of me goes, okay, let's learn the Peter Frampton song. That's the current me.
Right.
But the high school me is still in there. And one of the first records I ever owned was a Peter Frampton record, right? Not Frampton Comes Alive, but it was like one before that. The single was a song called I Can't Stand It No More, which I'm not even going to try to sing, but it's a really cool tune.
Yep.
But like, so the part of me gets up and goes, okay, let's go learn the Peter Frampton song to play today. But then inside that is still like the little kid going like, I can't believe I'm playing with this guy that is one of the dudes that I learned to play drums by jamming along to on my drum set.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
On my record player. So I say all that just to say, like, in terms of being humble, it's not like I'm trying to be humble. It's just that I still the young me still steps back and looks at what I'm fortunate to do and goes, oh my God, dude, you are like a lucky friggin' fortunate mofo to do what you're doing. So, and then again, circling back to where we were, which was you said up to that point, Paul Stanley, and the reason why I paused, I had not played with Cher at that point, but I feel like I had played with Natalie Cole at that point.
Ah.
Yeah.
So that's
right.
Yeah.
So genre differences, obviously, and volume of people who know, obviously, potentially different.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of iconic,
yes.
I mean, they're both right there. I remember going out to dinners. Natalie would have these dinners. We were on tour in Japan at one point, and she said, when everybody come down to dinner at the, the restaurant in the hotel or whatever, and we're there, and she would say things like, you know what? One time, Daddy said, da, 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 and I'm like,
oh my gosh. Your mind explodes.
My mind explodes.
That is so cool.
Daddy said, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So, I mean, so I can't remember the exact timeline, but up to that point, yes, it would have been Natalie, Paul Stanley. I had a short run with Shaka Khan.
Okay.
To that point, so she's I mean, Shaka Khan, right?
Hey.
I mean, and again, like I said, even as I say this now, I have a hard time saying these things because I don't want to come across like I played with her. It's like, to me, I literally look back and go like, I played with that person. Like they hired me.
So cool. So cool.
No, it's man, I'm so fortunate.
So where are we in the timeline now? Because
at this point we're up to we're up to Paul Stanley. So when Paul Stanley ends.
Yeah. And this again, what year is this? Remind me. 2009, you said?
Well, we're pretty much almost current at this point because when Paul Stanley ends, that's got to be like, let's see, 05, 06, 07. That's got to be like in the 08-ish, 07, 08-ish ballpark.
Yep. Okay.
And then I did a TV show. I was fortunate to do a couple of TV shows. And one of them was called The Bonnie Hunt Show, which was a daytime talk show on NBC. And circling way back to your way earlier question about in terms of who was at Berkeley with me, who that I know still. So Cheche Alera was the piano player in the band on the Bonnie Hunt Show. And it is through Cheche Alera that I got the call to audition for the band on the Bonnie Hunt Show.
Wow.
Right.
This is how many years later?
Later than Berkeley?
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, it's Berkeley, I graduated in 94. The call for Bonnie Hunt,
crazy.
the audition comes 94, 2004, to about a decade and a half.
It's crazy, right? This is exactly what you were talking about.
But it's relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships,
yeah.
So Bonnie Hunt, and then that ran for a while. And then Bonnie Hunt for a stretch ran concurrent with Cher. So I was playing with Bonnie and Cher at the same time. And I can't actually remember which one came online first. But what I was basically doing was I was playing in Vegas with Cher. And then on my days off from Cher, I was coming home to do Bonnie here in LA. And I was basically driving back and forth and doing sort of duty. Yeah, it was a little taxing.
Oh my God. Was Cher a Barry Squire gig?
Cher actually came through my relationship with Paul Merkovich, dating back to 2005. So meeting him in 05, doing the show with 05, 06, Rockstar, Paul Stanley Tour, Sessions in Town, other things in town, And then Cher would have come about, I mean, it feels like 09-ish, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
09, give or take 6 months to a year.
Okay. And the Cher gig, was it a walk-on for you because of Paul, or you still had to audition?
Cher, that's funny you called it a walk-on.
I don't know, right?
It makes it sound so casual. Like,
what
man, come on over and play with us and Cher.
I don't even know where that term comes from. Walk on. Was it? Isn't that like a football thing? Like if you don't have to go through the audition
I think it's kind of the opposite. I think it's a college. It's a college athletics term, but it's not a good thing. Now, I know you're using it as a good term, but I think in college athletics, you have your top tier guys who are on scholarship. So like, for example, on a college basketball team, like a Division I team, I think there's like 12 kids, I think. Right. And I think that like 10 of them are on scholarship, but there's like auditions, music nerd. There's tryouts to fill like those last spots.
Hey, I said auditions too. I couldn't think of the word. Right? That's how like.
I think those last spots
are
walk-ons.
Okay.
Like, okay, we've got our 8 or whatever it is, our 10. We've got our blue chippers over here. We've got to fill out the team. Open tryouts. And then there's like 100 kids. And of that 100 kids, you pick like 4 or 5, whatever it is, to fill out your team. That's a walk-on. So like a walk-on oftentimes never even gets on the floor. Like in that context.
Okay, so you're saying totally used it wrong.
You did. But I understand. I totally understand what you meant, though. I totally understand. So, but and to answer your question, yes, I did not audition. Mark was playing with Cher.
Okay.
And I believe that Pink had dates that conflicted, and so I believe that he made the decision to go and fulfill his obligation with Pink, which vacated the Cher position, which gave Paul, the leeway to basically call me, and then I came in and I finished out the whole run with Cher at Caesar's Palace in Vegas.
Got it. And she was amazing. Amazing person, everything. You actually got to hang with her a little bit.
She's
a lot.
Awesome. She's awesome. She is one of the people, like, and again, I never take any of this for granted. I never think any of this is assumed. None of it. But like those kind of stories that you hear about artists who are like, you know what? I'm just going to buy out the whole theater for Tuesday night so my whole band and crew and dancers and everyone can go and watch Boogie Nights. You know what I mean? Like, or, hey, I'm just going to like buy out all of the pole position indoor, go-kart racetrack for a night. So my whole band and crew can just go and do that. So, she did a thing once where Cher is the coolest. Like Cher is the coolest. And the first person to make fun of Cher is Cher. Like she's so, like self-effacing, but at the same time knows that she's an icon.
Right.
And that's an amazing thing. It's an amazing balance. But we did a thing one night where we played bingo, right? Hey guys, I want everybody to come down, to the theater. We're going to play bingo. Okay. So here we sit playing bingo. And the prize is, if you get bingo, is like an Apple iPad. Okay. So this person wins. Okay. What do you got? B11, I17, N30. Bingo. Okay. Here's your iPad. Thank you. Nice. Good night. Bye. Okay. Here's your iPad. Okay. It's like Oprah. You get a car. You get a car. You get a car. Right. So the night ends and we played. I don't know. There's 200 people on the crew, and we've played 30 rounds of bingo. So 30 people have walked out with iPads. Okay. Well, it's late. It's it's Vegas. So Vegas late. So it's I don't know, 3 a.m. Okay, everybody. It's all good. Great job. Last round of drinks on me. Okay, good night, everybody. Bye. Okay. Show up the next day to, whatever it is, sound check. Oh, Nate, here's your iPad. What do you mean? I didn't win. No. Sure got iPads for everybody.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's cool.
So yeah, no, she was one of the coolest, most relaxed. She and Paul. I mean, I gotta say, it's ironic or not that two of the most well-known, iconic, well-respected artists that I've ever worked with are also two of the most down-to-earth, relaxed, nothing to prove. Cher has nothing to prove. Paul Stanley has nothing to prove. There's no attitude. There's no weirdness. Like,
it's really cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool. And I've just been fortunate that I have historically never chosen gigs, opportunities, situations politically. And here's what I mean. I've never chosen a gig because the artist was the biggest artist, or because the guys in the band I thought were the coolest guys who would call me for gigs one day. I've always been the guy who, if you call me for a gig, you call me for a gig. Okay, Joe?
Yep.
Hey, Nate, put together a band for this gig I got going on. I'm never going to be like, let me call the 4 guys who I think are most likely to call me for a big gig.
Right.
Let me call the 4 guys who are my boys, who I think could really, A, use a gig, or B, are going to play this the best. I'm never. So that might wind up being 4 guys you've never heard of, but they'll kill it. Sure. And they're my buddies, and it'll be a great gig. So I guess my point is, I've always done that. And I've never chosen gigs, by the way, based on political or financial gain. So numerous times I've had gig A that might be more beneficial politically or financially, frankly, but maybe I hate the music. Or I've got gig B where I love the music and I love the dudes, but it pays half what gig A pays. I'm on gig B. And the reason I've always done that is because I've always hoped that in the end, wherever I land, I'm going to be playing great music with great musicians in a cool situation with guys that I really love being around. And I am so fortunate that that's the case. The guys in the band on The Voice are my brothers. Those are my guys.
Right. It could prove to be a really long tour if you're on a gig where it pays a lot of money, but the music sucks. Or and you don't like the people.
Yeah. Or you don't like the people you're playing with. Like I said, I've been very fortunate, and again, it's like the guys on The Voice are my family, and not even just the guys on The Voice in the band, the girls on The Voice in the band.
Yep.
The whole Voice music family. People sometimes say, how do you guys get along so well? And I'll quote one of our keyboard techs / brainiac, Patrick, who knows the answers to all the questions. He just does. He's like Joe Technology.
Right.
But someone once asked, how do you guys get along so well? And Patrick said, they said, why do you guys get along so well? No, was it, hold on, let me get it straight. Yeah, it was, how do you guys get along so well? Mm-hmm. And Patrick said, it's because we have to. Like, we have to. In other words, what we do and the product that we create and the amount of time that we spend around each other and working with each other, it could only exist if we had the kind of family relationship that we do. We have to. If it's not that, it can't get done. It can't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm rambling, but that's kind of
no.
That's the whole story. So
again, in the timeline, you're 2009.
Yeah, that's when The Voice starts. 2010, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah.
And The Voice was, I guess I might be getting it mixed up with Rockstar. The Voice wasn't a lengthy audition, right? You were already, because of Paul and everything. I don't remember.
Well, I mean, The Voice. So The Voice came about. The Voice was not an audition.
Okay.
But the process that led to me being on The Voice started a decade prior,
Right.
over a decade prior. So no, it wasn't an audition, but it was a relationship that built over the preceding, however many years that was from. Well, I said a decade, so I guess not a decade, but The Voice would have been 2009, 10, and I would have met Paul in 2005. So about a half a decade. So yeah, so it would have been a 5-year, 6-year relationship prior that led to The Voice ultimately.
That's amazing. Anyway. Right.
Yeah.
And it's going strong, and you guys sound better than ever, and it's just amazing. And just to be on the set, it was so cool. I think and I tell people the story all the time, the fact that I was able to have, some ears to listen to the band, the banter on the bandstand.
Oh, don't you ever put that out anywhere.
Oh, okay.
We're the worst. We're the worst.
Okay.
All we do is bag on each other all day.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. So what else? I want to make sure we didn't miss anything, and I want to also give you a moment to plug anything that you're doing. I don't know if you still have your band outside of The Voice.
I'm involved in a side project with my buddy Sean Halley.
Okay.
Sean Halley and I, and sadly, now, do you always do these via Zoom?
So far, because I just started it when all of this happened. So
right, and all of this for your listeners who may see this down the road,
right,
2 years, 3 years, 4 years, is that we are in the midst of a zombie apocalypse.
Correct.
There are cars
better known as
over
COVID-19.
Yes. It's crazy.
Yep.
But so Sean and I had a gig with our band Fraud Profits, which was going to also feature Ben White on the bass, and wow, timeout. Ed Roth, wow, blanked. Okay, so pick up. So yeah, man, all of this is happening amidst this time when gigs are getting canceled and all of this. And actually, I had a gig with my side project, which is a band called Fraud Profits, which is myself and my dear friend Sean Halley. Also a genius, by the way. And we had this band Fraud Profits, which was filled out by bass player Ben White, and Ed Roth was going to be playing keys with us. And we had a gig booked on April 10th, and we were all excited to do it. So it's not happening. But in terms of things that I'm doing outside The Voice, that is one of the primary things. So you can, if you're interested, you can look up Fraud Profits, FRAUDPROPHETS.com. And you can also find us on Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook. And so we will continue to keep you updated on what we're up to. Then the album is available where all albums are available. It's called Poptosis, and it's really rad.
Awesome. All right, cool. Yeah, and then what about lessons? What are you doing?
I don't know. I guess trying to study with you at some point.
Okay.
Some availability.
Yeah, I'm pretty tied up right now.
Okay, well, get back to me. When you can fit me in your schedule.
Oh my gosh. No. So how can drummers that want to go to the next level take lessons from you? How I know that, I guess,
right.
If they're in LA and when things get back to whatever air quotes normal, if that happens, they could come there to your studio and do it.
Right.
Right.
In the meantime,
yep.
I am making myself available for online lessons.
Okay.
And it's a thing that, thanks to this, I think I mentioned to you earlier, I got my whole rig up and running. So I'm talking into like an actual microphone as opposed to my earbuds. And I have on headphones as opposed to my earbuds, because the headphones, the microphone are all running through my studio gear, which I'm making like gestures at, but no one can see. Right. But I am getting the rig here set up so that I can do online lessons. I have done some in the past. And I'm thinking that with my new audio going on, thanks to the motivation of getting with you and chatting tonight, I have it a little bit more under control. So sure, if you want to get together online for like a lesson or an exchange of knowledge or any of that stuff, I'm so easy to find. I'm on Instagram, or Insta, as I call it when I want to make my wife angry.
Nice.
Like, no one calls it Insta. I call it Insta. No one calls it Insta.
Oh my God. So what's your handle on Instagram?
I don't know.
You don't? Oh man, I'll find it and put it in the show
Shut up,
notes.
shut up. Wait. No, I think it's just, I think it's in as in Nate, 8, the number 8,
Yes.
DRUMZ. N8 DRUMZ. I think that's me on Instagram.
Perfect.
It's also on my license plate.
Nice.
Oh, I'll tell you a funny story.
Uh-oh.
So back in the day when we could actually rehearse in the same room together, the band was having a rehearsal at center staging, and my license plate on my Subi says N8 DRUMZ, Nate Drums. And there was some other band there, and I can't remember who the artist was, but like the drummer and the guitar player of that band came over to our rehearsal, and we were just hanging out. And you know how it is, musicians hanging out. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's The Voice. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing this gig. Oh, you can talk. And so the drummer talks to me and says, "Oh, you're the drummer on The Voice." I'm like, "Yeah, what's your name?" Nate Morton. "Oh, Nate. Oh, is that your car in the parking lot that says Nate Drums on the license plate?" I was like, "Yeah." And like literally, I swear to God, he looks at me and goes, you could be Nate Drums." like I have to, like I needed to have a gig
Right.
of a stature that would allow me to have the
name on your license plate. Perfect.
I was like, "Oh, you're so young." Like young musicians is so cute.
Oh my
gosh. He was funny. No, he was funny. He's like, "All right, you can be Nate Drums." I was like, "Thanks, youngster."
That's so funny. That's
like,
awesome.
Let me just get my cane.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
But he was cool. And of course I looked him up, and he's like, one of these killing young drummers. There's so many, man.
Yeah.
There's so many of those incredible guys just playing all that stuff. And
well,
I go
cool.
boom bap, boom bap.
Yeah, well, no, you don't, but you can say that if you want. You do a lot more than that. So how about Facebook? Do you know where they find you on Facebook?
Sure. Facebook.com/Nate Morton Drums.
Perfect. So we did Instagram, Facebook. Do you have a website?
I don't have an actual website. The closest thing I have is probably thefraudprophets.com.
Okay,
site.
cool. Okay.
And what else we got? Facebook.
I assume you don't hang out on Twitter, or do you?
You know what? So here's the thing, and I'm just being honest right now. I'm just being real. Somewhere along the line, I intentionally or unintentionally linked my Instagram to my Twitter. So it seems like whatever I put on Instagram winds up on Twitter, or maybe it's my Facebook. But no, I'm not really active on Twitter. So if you actually want to like catch up with me, find me on Facebook, and I'm easy.
Perfect.
And like, I'm not always the fastest to get back, but I get back to people. So if you find me on Facebook.com/Nate Morton Drums, and you follow me there, you send me a message, whatever, I'm going to find it eventually. And I'm going to get back to you because it bugs me. My OCD would be bothered. Like I can't look at a message and like just delete it. Like I look at it and I go, I gotta get back to that. So even if it's a day or a week or a month, I do my very best to get back.
I'm sure.
And you can always go like super old school and just email me at n8drumz@earthlink.net.
Cool. And then really important is your YouTube page.
Ooh, are you going to ask me to recite it?
No, I'll put it in the show notes, but do you have more? Do you have your Nate one? And then is it the Nate?
No, it's just one.
So it's the one with the Nate Cam, like all the stuff, the voice videos, right?
That's all the same.
Okay, cool.
All the same channel. And it's youtube.com/C, like the letter C, /Nate Morton Drums. youtube.com/C
Nate Morton Drums.
/C Nate Morton Drums. Oh, wow.
There you go.
I kind of just got that.
Oh my gosh.
Again. I swear.
Oh my. I think I should actually put some like cool GIFs on the video, like or your head just explode, like the top flies off.
I think.
All right, endorsements.
You're awesome, Joe.
See? Always thinking.
That's my endorsement.
No.
No. Endorsements. Joe, you're incredible.
You're amazing, but that's not what you know.
That's an endorsement.
No.
Okay, so I am very, very fortunate to be affiliated with some really awesome companies. I'm afraid to say them all because, like, I'm afraid to forget one, and then.
Oh, I know.
So,
okay.
So can you just put it in the?
I'll put it in the show. Yeah.
All right.
For the list of Nate's endorsements, we're just going to list them down in the show notes. So what else is there anything else that I missed that you wanted to talk about? I don't want to leave anything out.
You know what? That's interesting. You should ask. And I will just say this. This is going to be really weird. I'm going to go a little left, Joe. And I don't know if you're expecting this or not.
That's okay.
I have 6 kids. I have a wife. Her name is Nicole. And outside of all of this, the show stuff and the gigs and this audition and this tour and that artist and that venue and that TV show, and all of those things are amazing. I have to say that I find my motivation and I find myself looking back on what is most important. And all of those things are great in the sense that they allow me to do the things that I want to do with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I don't mean to be fruity or anything. It's like I spend a little bit of time getting to do things like this, like chatting to you, and I talk about drums and I talk about music on the show. And I just never want to lose sight of the fact that within that world, I take a lot of pride and I put a lot of import on being able to spend time with my kids and my family as well. And one of the biggest words in our industry, or in my life, I'll speak very, small scale. One of the biggest words in my life is balance. And so while it may look from the outside like the balance is completely shifted to all of that, there's also the other side, which is that you've also got to allow yourself time to spend time with your gnarly 4-year-old who drives you crazy because she's insane, or your 2-year-old who might fall off the trampoline if you don't zip the thing closed, or my 13-year-old who has a tennis lesson or who can't play tennis right now, so I take him to Home Depot so they can hit on the wall, or my 17-year-old who I drag into the lounge room to play a game of chess with me, or my 19-year-old who's away at college. Well, he's home now, but who I communicate with and go, how's things going in your pursuits, or I left out my 8-year-old who is an 8-year-old teenager. She's 8, but she's already a teenager. Isabel, can Dad have a hug? Okay.
Fine.
So it's like, I don't mean to get too cheesy, but a long time ago, a great and dear friend of mine, Tony DiAugustine, said the hardest thing about creating a career as a professional musician is finding a balance. And I said, a balance between what? And he said, a balance between everything. And at the time, I was in my early 20s, and I was like, what does that mean? And the older I get, and every day, every week, month, year that goes by, I really do get it. It's a balance between gigs that you love, gigs that pay the bills. Being gone on tour, making money and supporting your family, seeing your family. Working hard and, doing whatsoever versus having no work, but making yourself spend time doing things that are important otherwise. So again, I don't mean to get too cosmic with all of this. But yeah, I just wanted to make mention of that. I just wanted to make mention of the fact that, again, circling way back again to Sharon, what's her name, who said, you don't sound very well-rounded. I said, I'm focused. Well, now I've adapted that focus, and that focus is, twofold. It's on music and creativity and doing that side of things, but it's also on focusing on family and spending time with the wife and the kids and all those people who put up with me. All those little people who call me dad. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And you have such a great family.
And my wife, and the wife who puts up with me. The wife,
yes.
I couldn't be in my studio working 10 hours a day without her. I couldn't jump in my car and drive into Universal and work, 80 hours a week without her. Right. So those people are important, and those people create the balance that makes my life really fucking cool.
Well, you deserve it, brother. I am honored to call you a friend. I am so glad we met. I don't even know how it happened. I know that we were both at one of those drum get-togethers. It was a Remo Zildjian
Yeah, sure. Probably.
something,
Yeah.
and I saw you as I was leaving, and I handed you a card, and I had this funny slogan on the back of the card, and I was like a block and a half away already, and you were like, "Hey, dude, I love your card." It was something
Sounds
really
like
funny
me.
like that.
That sounds like
Yeah,
me.
and then it went from there and all the other stuff. So I appreciate you so much, and I
I
can't wait to
appreciate
see you
you.
in
I appreciate
person
you.
again. Please
Hopefully
give,
soon.
yeah, I know. Please give my love to your family,
We'll do, buddy.
and
And you.
yeah, I
And
will.
you.
I will, and I really appreciate your time, man. This is awesome, and thanks so much.
Joe, absolutely my pleasure. And thank you for having me on.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. You take care.
And you.